Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sathir Dance Podcast. I am your host, Jeetendra Hirschfeld, a Bharatanatyam artist, dance researcher, and writer. As the title suggests, this podcast is all about dance, especially Bharatanatyam, focusing on the history of the Tanjore kingdom, the royals, the dancers, composers, and repertoire. To stay updated on upcoming episodes, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. This is the second episode of the podcast titled Legacy of Tanjore Gnyana, Star Dancer of the 19th Century. In this episode, I'll explore Tanjore Gnyana's prominence and celebrated status during the 19th century, highlighting her historical importance. The details I present are from my essays, published between 2006 and 2011. If you like to read them, I have provided links in the description below. Before I begin, I would like to note that throughout this episode, I specifically use temple dancing girls or Nautch girls to align with historical primary sources. While labels such as Bayadere, Devadasi or Kalavant were historically employed, the terms temple dancing girl or Nautch girl became prevalent during the 18th and 19th centuries. Let's go back to a time long ago in the 1990s when my guru Rajamani used to delight me with captivating tales about a famous dance composition, A Mandayanara, a magnum opus Swarajati composed in the Tanjore court of the 18th century in Ragam Usaini. A century later, in the latter part of the 19th century, an exceptional dancer named Tanjore Gnyana popularized the Swarajati outside the royal courts. She performed the song at the Royapuram railway station at a historic cultural event to commemorate the visit of Prince Edward of Wales to Madras city in 1875. In the puja room of her apartment, my guru had a small framed photocard of Gnyana, which I was allowed to copy. She also provided historical details such as her place of birth and her performances before Indian and foreign royalty. Many anecdotes about Gnyana were told to my guru by her dance master, the renowned Meenakshi Sundaram from Pandanallur, who had seen her perform and praised her exceptional artistry. All these details piqued my curiosity to learn more about this dancer. But it wasn't until a few years later, during other research, that I came across a section in William Russell's 1877 book, The Prince of Wales's Tour, A Diary in India. In his book, Russell describes the 1875 performance of Tanjore Gnyana at the Madras Royapuram railway station. Excited by this discovery, I gathered more references from additional historical books, articles, and newspaper clippings that discussed or reviewed her presence at Royapuram. Before we delve into the performance at Royapuram, let's first explore Gnyana's life before her rise to fame. Gnyana was born in Tiruvarur village in South India. She began learning Sadar from Nathuvanar Tiruvarur Ayyaswamy and later from Periyaswamy. Her first appearance was at the Tyagaraja Swami temple in 1864. Over the next few years, she became well known for her exceptional abhinaya or expressive dance. According to my gurus, it was common for dancers in the towns near Tanjore to seek out a teacher from the lineage of four famous Nathuvanars, today known as the Tanjore Quartet. Their repertoire was considered the gold standard even in the 1860s. Gnyana trained with Mahadevan, the son of Shivanandam. After her training and performances in the area, she became known as Tanjore Gnyana. In 1875, artists from Tanjore were invited to perform in Madras at the Royapuram railway station to celebrate the visit of Prince Edward of Wales. Among the performers, the only solo dancer was Tanjore Gnyana. Prince Edward of Wales travelled extensively across India from November 1875 to March 1876. On the 9th of December, he arrived in the Madras Presidency from Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, docking at Tuticorin in the late afternoon. The next day, the prince boarded the historic first-ever passenger train from Tuticorin to Madurai. In Madurai, the prince visited the marvelous Meenakshi Sundareshwara temple and later the 1,000-pillar Mandapam of Srirangam. In both temples, the prince enjoyed mesmerizing performances of temple dancing girls, accompanied by a melam or musical band and a big crowd of eager spectators. These were the prince's first encounters with South Indian temple dancers. On the 13th of December, Prince Edward arrived in Madras city at the Royapuram railway station. Celebrants decorated the station and carpeted the floor in his honor. As he emerged from his compartment, the air filled with the booming echoes of a gun salute while the local Madras band played harmonious tunes to mark the significance of his presence. An elaborate procession through the city streets towards the government house allowed everyone to see the prince. Leading up to the Royapuram event, Prince Edward attended state banquets and balls at the government house and the Madras Club, where he met numerous Maharajas and nobles. One notable encounter was with Princess Vijaya Mohana Muktamba of Tanjore. The princess was the daughter of Shivaji, the last Maharaja of Tanjore. I'll discuss Princess Vijaya Mohana Muktamba of Tanjore in an upcoming podcast. On the night of Friday, the 17th of December, the people of Madras organized a grand entertainment at the goods hall of the Royapuram railway station in honor of Prince Edward. They transformed the hall into a majestic theatre fit for hundreds of royals and elites. It took a fortnight of careful planning to prepare for this spectacle, with every guest aiming for a spot as close as possible to Prince Edward. Beautifully arranged flower bouquets overflowed in the goods hall, and 50 impressive chandeliers, along with 5 electric lights, bathed the space in luxury. In one corner, behind muslin curtains, a supper room awaited the guests, adding to the occasion's splendor. At the heart of it all, an elevated stage, draped in scarlet fabric and elaborate decorations, awaited the prince and other dignitaries. Decorated tilted chairs were set up for them, while the rest of the stage was left open, providing ample space for entertainment. The other guests were seated below or standing around. The goods hall buzzed with hundreds of individuals from various ranks and backgrounds: Maharajas and nobles, Madras Presidency officials, British and French officers, and elite residents of Madras, all dressed to impress. The program notes highlighted a lineup featuring Tanjore's finest artists, a music ensemble, folk dancers, a Carnatic vocal performance by the renowned dancer and songstress Krishna, a sitar and violin ensemble, and a natakam in 4 acts. However, the highlight was the Nautch performance by the celebrated Tanjore Gnyana. The entertainment was scheduled to commence at 10 p.m., but Prince Edward, delayed by a prior engagement, made his entrance only close to midnight. He was seated on a makeshift golden throne at the back of the elevated stage, surrounded by his entourage. Seated by his side were the governor of Madras, the Maharaja of Travancore, the Diwan of Baroda, the Nawab of Arcot, and other royals. The atmosphere was alive with the brilliance of dazzling jewels, gold, diamonds, and vibrant costumes. The entertainment began with a folk dance performed by 4 dancers on a separate square platform within the hall. Immediately following this performance was the much-anticipated highlight of the evening, Tanjore Gnyana's entrance. She took the stage, ready to mesmerize Prince Edward and the audience. Gnyana gracefully entered from a passage beside the elevated stage. Her melam, walking right behind her, included Nattuvanar Tiruvarur Periyaswamy, second Nattuvanar Gopala, Mirdangam player Manargudi Gopala, and musicians playing the fiddle, bagpipe, and flute. Dressed in a vibrant and luxurious sari, Gnyana adorned her upper arms with thick gold armlets and wore richly decorated gold chains. Sparkling diamonds adorned her ears and nose, while her braided hair shimmered with yellow flowers. In the days leading up to the event at Royapuram, Tanjore Gnyana, alongside Tanjore Mahadeva, specially prepared to present the majestic Swarajati A. Mandayanara in Ragam Usaini to honor Prince Edward. She began her performance with respectful salams to the royals on the stage. Her dance, a sequence of deliberate movements and postures, conveyed her portrayal of separation from her lover. As her Natuvana sang and played the cymbals, she occasionally paused to emphasize the poetry with her singing. As the dance progressed, her sorrow intensified as she lamented the closeness yet distance of her beloved. Finally, in a moment of ecstasy, Jnana expressed that her lover had returned, rushing to Prince Edward's feet as if he were the returned lover. The prince, unable to suppress a smile, responded warmly to her well-expressed joy. At just 18 years old, Tanjore Gnyana performed at the Royapuram station in the presence of hundreds of royals and nobles. At the end of her performance, she was not only loudly cheered, but also personally thanked by Prince Edward. Although Tanjore Gnyana was already a well-known dancer before the Royapuram performance, dancing before Prince Edward of Wales and numerous Indian royals solidified her fame and status. Her name is the only one prominently highlighted in books, notes, and newspapers referencing the Royapuram event. She continued to perform throughout the Madras Presidency, but towards the end of her life, she returned to Tiruvarur, where she passed away in 1922 at 65 years old. During her lifetime, Tanjore Gnyana was celebrated and renowned amongst dancers and teachers of that era. Tanjore Gnyana serves as an allegory for 19th century colonial history for several reasons. Her transition from temple dancing to performing at venues such as darbars, garden parties, and reading rooms reflects the broader changes in cultural practices influenced by colonial powers. Her performances in these new venues illustrate the transition of her art from traditional settings to modern colonial-influenced environments. Her notable performance at the Royapuram railway station before Prince Edward of Wales and various Indian princes symbolizes the blending of Indian tradition and colonial modernity. The grandeur of the Royapuram event, enhanced by innovations like a performance stage and electric lighting, illustrates how colonialism modernized and merged diverse cultural practices. Thus, Tanjore Gnyana encapsulates the adaptation and evolution of her art within the historical context of the 19th century, reflecting broader cultural transformations. I conclude with this exquisite photo of Tanjore Gnyana, a part of my private collection. Bourne and Shepherd likely photographed her shortly before or after the Royapuram performance in December 1875. This photo serves as the focal point of my original research. Before my essays, published between 2006 and 2011, there was no detailed research on her life and art. A set of her photos is archived in the collection Sammlung Jagor at the Ethnographic Museum in Berlin. The caption, translated from German, reads, Jnana, the most beautiful dancing girl in Tanjore. Thank you for listening to my podcast. I'm your host, Jeetendra Hirschfeld. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Sathir Dance. Hope to see you next time, and goodbye.